Hey everyone, Ryan Young. Just wanted to have a quick talk with you. And today we're going to do another video for my younger self or for you. And you know, in this channel I put all these little tidbits of advice together because when I created the channel, it was originally intended for my children, for that when I am gone, and if YouTube is still around, and if they have the inclination to, they can access this video and watch it and see their dad giving them a little bit of fatherly advice back from whenever, right? Well, today is January something, 2025. So the bit of advice today has to do with your values, and that how when you do stuff, you need to take your values into account. Meaning you need to stand for something. You can't just be, I'll just go with the flow. Because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. How's that one, right? So what do I mean by that? So my business right now is the Art of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And we run a studio called Kama, K-A-M-A, Jiu-Jitsu. And we run what we call the old style of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, where Jiu-Jitsu was and is self-defense. And the Gracies used to hone their art way back around 100 years ago, up to probably about 25 years ago or so. And they do it through challenge matches, and they just fight all comers. And you know, where they do well, they keep doing it, and where it doesn't do well, they try to refine it and try to make it better. And the result is the art that I teach, as well as my instructor, Dave Kama, at Kama Jiu-Jitsu. So what does that have to do with values? Well, today's Jiu-Jitsu has become a very sport-oriented. So they've taken a lot of the danger out of it to make it so it can be done by more people. Now, that's not to say that Jiu-Jitsu couldn't be done by more people the way that we teach it. It's just that when it comes to sports and competition and making it available to everyone, you're taking into account people who don't necessarily train well, taking into account students that are learning from instructors that don't teach well, and you're trying to take, like I said, most of the danger out of it. But the fact of the matter is that life in general is dangerous, right? You drive a car, that's dangerous. You fly airplanes, that can be dangerous. Even walking across the street in a busy city block can be very dangerous. Walking on the sidewalk, get attacked, right? So that's why you always learn to defend yourself. Now, when it comes to teaching jiu-jitsu, the market has shifted, where they're now the more popular type of jiu-jitsu to learn is the sport jiu-jitsu, not the traditional stuff that we teach. But our values are that our jiu-jitsu is a self-defense art. It is not a sport. However, you can make it sportive, meaning you can water it down, meaning just take out certain things in a tournament because you're not looking to hurt your opponent, you're just looking to beat your opponent. And we can do that. On the other hand, when you learn the sport version, you don't have the foundation for what we call the self-defense concepts. Just simple stuff, you know, somebody grabs you by the head and tries to punch you in the face, right? How do you deal with that? Well, most jiu-jitsu people today have no idea how to deal with that. Well, that's what we teach. But the market is saying otherwise. And in fact, I just had this conversation with somebody I've known for a while. Let's call it 20 years or so. And 7th degree black belt. And he was expressing his frustration where in his hometown, the schools that surround him and that all his students are, you know, they go and drop in, as we say, train all over the place. You know, they have friends at other schools, they train there. But they're all sports schools. And the thinking is very different from what this particular black belt and I, because we learned from my initial instructor, my first instructor, and him, you know, we both learned from him, whereas he went on a black belt with him, whereas I went to get my black belt from Dave Kama. But he was saying the same thing that I see. And I just told him, look, because he's considering changing. And I said, you can do that. You know, you have to do what's best for your business. But at the same time, you're not going to be teaching what his grandmaster, Relson Gracie, taught him. So is he comfortable with that? And he is not. So I told him basically, your set of values tells you that jiu-jitsu is a self-defense art. So you need to teach it in that way. Now for you, it could be anything. It could be, Oh, remember during the whole COVID crisis that we had here, right? You had policemen, cops that were arresting people for not wearing a mask, or that were hassling them for not wearing a mask. And the common line was, and when you know, somebody tell the cop, hey, yesterday I didn't have to wear this, and now today, because the government says I have to wear it, you're making me wear it, when, you know, I'm 50 years old and I never had to walk around wearing a mask. Why is this so different, right? It's not. And the cop says, hey, look, man, I'm just doing my job. So you're going to arrest me for not wearing a mask, and you don't believe in it either. You're just conforming. And I'm not saying to not be conformist, you know, I'm just saying sometimes you have to conform, but other times you have to look at it and go, does it make sense, right? And then I say, look, it's not within your values to force me to wear a mask, but because it's your job, you're going to force me to wear one, right? Now, I'm not looking to ruffle any feathers, you know. For those of you, you know, COVID started in, March of 2020, and here we are almost 5 years later, and I still see people walking around wearing masks. Not that many of them, but a few of them, right? So this cop, so you're going to tell me that because you're being told that I have to do this, it's either that or lose your job. You want to take away my rights so that you can keep your job, right? You could walk away, you could ignore me, but you decide that you want to do this to me, right? And I didn't have any conversation like this, by the way. I'm just letting you know, right? Just from what people have been telling me in other areas, right? In Texas, it wasn't really a big deal. But I know in places like Honolulu and California, it was a real thing. So my question to the cop would be, what are your personal values? If I were your son, what would you think, right? If you knew something was wrong, but you're okay with a person of authority, like a police officer, making me do it, right? I don't know, you know, what are your values, right? That's one example. Another example could be about helping someone, right? Do your values tell you to help someone, or do your values tell you to just walk on by, right? And everybody's values are different. So what I'm just trying to point out with this video is, think about what you stand for and stand for it. Just because other people are saying not to stand for it, that doesn't mean you don't stand for it. See, for me, I just think to myself, am I hurting anybody? No, okay, I'm not going to hurt anybody. That's not my thing. And I don't have to mean hurt like physically hurt somebody. It could be any kind of hurt. And, you know, for instance, for money, you know, would I do something evil for money? No, don't care about the money. I could use the money, but if it's against my values of not hurting people, I'm not going to, right? Think about, you know, if you want to be rich and famous, right? And you come across someone who tells you, you know, and they show you their card, maybe they're, I don't know, an agent, or they're, you know, somebody who can make it happen for you. And they tell you, I can do it for you. However, in order to do that, you're going to have to renounce everything good and godly in your world, whoever your God is. And once you renounce them, I will give you everything. Now, remember in the Bible, when Jesus was going through his 40-day fast, and while he's starting to see delusions and stuff, Satan comes up to him and tells him, look, you can stop this. And in fact, look around you, right? You see all this beauty around you, right? It can be all yours if you renounce God the Father. And Jesus, despite being as hungry, thirsty, tired, weak as he was, he refused to break his values, to go against his values and renounce God the Father, right? I'm just using this as an example. You can be a Buddhist, you can be a Muslim, you can be, right, a Shinto, whatever, doesn't matter. Every person has a set of values, or at least you do at a moment. Sometimes values are core, you know, they're part of your core, and you need to determine what are your core values And you need to determine if they are strong enough for you to stick to no matter what. If they are not strong enough for you to stick to no matter what, then it's not a value to you, right? Or you just have no values. Your value is whatever I feel today. So if you're one of those that just has those values that shift, whatever it is I feel today, if the world is going left, you'll go left, right? If the world's going right, you'll go right. But what happens is you end up being that person that neither makes things happen, or what is that? You either make things happen or things get done to you, right? So you're going to be that person who things just get done to you, or you're going to be that person that says, what happened, right? And I don't want you to be that. I want you to be the best you that you can be. So sit down, write down your values. What are the things that you hold dear to you? And really evaluate them, because you're going to be tempted to go against those values. And if you are willing to go against them, then they're not really your values. So you might want to choose something else. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.